Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Belgrade, welcome back to Belgrade Arena for the grand final of the 37th edition of the European Championships. I'm joined by the legend of the sport. I'm here with Denis Varga once again for our another round of pre-match activities. Denis, first question, what are the thoughts right now? Tell me. Cool as a cucumber, I would say. You know that's some phrase, right?
No, but you will explain me later.
I will later
So,
on.
the odds, if you look around, the odds are higher probably for Serbia, but I have a deep feeling that this is the day when Hungary finally can beat Serbia in Belgrade.
We'll talk about that later. Excuse us because we can barely hear each other right now, so we're going to try and do it this way a bit closer. Well, before the grand final between Serbia and Hungary starts, we're going to walk through the previous match once again, as you did the co-commentary, I know, but we have some highlights spread for you. The historic win for the national team of Greece, who for the first time won a medal here at the European Championships level. So while we wait for the highlights, I want to know, you said yourself you're expecting 1 or 2 goals of a difference, but it was completely a one-way street for the national team of Greece in the end.
Yes, I had the impression that Greece wanted this medal more than Italy, so they started the game immediately. They dominated. The Italians had desperate attempts all throughout the game, basically. And as I predicted, they were exhausted still from the previous game.
Yeah, when it comes to the overall impression of Team Italy, I mean, I'm not sure, does it remind you maybe of a game of Spain versus Croatia in a way, in terms of how the team looked defeated right there from the first quarter?
The outcome is very similar, but that was for the 5th place, and I have a strong feeling that Croatia, after the first couple of minutes, let that game go completely. But this is not the case when you are fighting for a medal, and I think Italy did everything what they could, but the defense on the Greek side was immense, and they destroyed every attempt. They closed with the blocks, and their goalie was also exceptional.
Yeah, that's the reasoning for the low goal scoring affair, some would say, when it comes to Alessandro Campagna's team, because we saw so many players scoring goals, say Bruni and Condemi, the two that we mentioned as the top scorers of Italy so far in the tournament. We saw Di Somma as well, but at this level it was just such a miss when it comes to some players we emphasized on right there in that attack potency. Yes,
and it was because of the Greek defense. I mean, all those attempts were very much forced. They tried to score from the worst possible position, which was successful before on other games, but not today, because they were very well prepared. And at the beginning, I've seen some changes in the Greek tactic. Maybe they moved more than they did before. Maybe it was intentional, but then they became leaders of the game. They were leading by 4 goals, so they just, pushed the handbrake and started to play safe.
Yeah, that first goal, let's go back to that. It was from the penalty shots at the end of the first quarter, and by then, like you say, they already had quite a huge of advantage that they just kept making grow more and more as the game progressed.
Yes, and even though Italy received extra mans, they couldn't live with it because the Greek defense was so good and they were very well prepared, and that's how Greece feels, safe and comfortable when they can play their game 6-on-5 on each side. So they managed to score theirs, and they saved all the attempts from the Italians.
I wanted to talk about those man-up situations as well from Greeks' point of view, because again, a game in which we saw a team do exceptionally well in this component of the match. We saw so many extra player shots come from them, and they did score indeed, like you said.
Yes, but not only that, because Kakaris scored from center position, so overall they played very well, and we could even say that they would have deserved to be in the final.
Kakaris as the MVP of the semifinals, deservedly.
Yeah, of course, because he delivered all the exclusions and he scored, as I said. But also Zerdevas was exceptional, and Argyropoulos finished with 26 goals on the tournaments, equally as much as Verno, I think, right? So they are sharing this title now. It was a really great game for the Greeks.
Yeah, and for Argyropoulos specifically, because it was not us, see, because we emphasized on him on that first semifinals game, and he didn't really deliver as we were expecting, a player from not only his quality but also his displays we've seen so far, and now he was right there.
Yes, it just shows that Hungarians were very well prepared. So they stopped their main players in the semifinal, so I hope that they can keep this discipline for this final game.
Yes, they did their homework indeed. Now let's do ours, because we have some post-match interviews in store from you, from both of the head coaches.
Yes, well, I think we wanted more. Both teams wanted, of course, but we tried harder and very good in defense, especially men down. Today we were very with a good result. Finally, we broke this bad, how to tell, that we never have a medal in European. It's our first medal. We are happy, we enjoy it, and that's all. Really is a big question, because I saw my team perfect except one day that we did everything wrong, and we missed the chance to fight for the goal. But that is life. Hungary was better than us. They deserve to fight for the gold. We need to do it next time better.
Look, when we play semi-final and final, it's another sport. Psychology, physically, the stress. So it was a big surprise if we could win one of the two games. But we tried both games. Today we didn't play at all in extra men. Fantastic defense of Greece. They deserve more than bronze medal, in my opinion, as they are in this moment. But we gave everything, and when the players gave everything, they fight until the last moment. We realize the mistakes, where to play, but especially where to play this kind of games. If we don't play this kind of games, we cannot win medals in the future. So I am proud of them. The road is traced, and we think for the World Cup next April.
Now, before we jump into all the details of the grand final here of the match between Serbia and Hungary, as you all know, I have the greatest pleasure to, of course, have the legend of the sport here with me. So, from your perspective, as you already told us, one of the semifinals that you like to recall the most, and that is one close to your heart, tell me which grand final is the one you look back to and think that's my favorite one. And you played a fair share of them, so choose only one.
2020.
That was easy. Okay, yeah. Budapest.
Since we were at home, so my only the only thing I would change if we could face Serbia in the final and win the same way with penalties, because that's the highest level of achievement, especially 5-6 years ago when Serbia had all those big stars still in the team.
Okay, talking about the big finals, this is as tale as old as time, as they would say, because it's Serbia versus Hungary yet again in a grand final. We saw a fair share of those as well, but we also saw a match back in Tokyo. It was the bronze medal match, right? As one of the, let's say, I guess finals you would like to recall more, because it was medal then for Hungary as well, if I'm not mistaken.
But we played that against Spain.
Oh, the bronze medal.
Yes.
Sorry, my bad. Sorry.
Because, you know, Serbia won the final, so...
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, my math got mixed up, because there's so many numbers here, so many competitions, so please, my apologies, because, well, I mean, the Champions League.
But I think we can emphasize
Yeah, on the
that
finals.
if Serbia qualifies to the final, they only lost twice in the past 2 decades,
Yes,
2004 and 2011, and every other final they made it happen and they won the gold medal. So
and it's a funny thing when a national team is the host of the tournament and plays in the final, because we saw many countries winning when they reached that final step, say Croatia in their home back in 2022, and other national teams as well throughout this tournament in the past, I don't know, 10, 15 editions. Now, it would be the third time for national team of Serbia to do it here in Belgrade. Do you think they have what it takes to make it 3 in a row?
they definitely have what it takes, but I think Hungary as a team reached to the point where they can overcome this pressure and finally take this position to their advantage, and they can win the gold medal.
Okay, we're talking about two different kinds, I should say, styles of play, two different water polo, not academies, but like schools in general. So what is your take on the biggest differences between Serbia in that component as their water polo style and of course Hungary?
A lot of controversy comes to my mind because we are comparing different eras, and I think how should I go into details? Like, I would define my era was the 2010 till 20-ish, even though I played after and before, but my highest, which I would rank the highest, is the late 2000s era, because I think we had the strongest players and the strongest championship in those years, and I would ruffle a lot of feathers now, but I think none of the teams here would be able to compete with those teams. Let it be Serbian, Hungarian, or even the Montenegrins.
Okay, on the topic of key players, we always talk about them, and when it comes to Serbia, we can put, of course, Dusan Mandic. We talked about Nikola Jakšić, and that was a thing that I want to emphasize here as well. You told to all of the watchers, viewers here, that they should look at Nikola Jakšić for 3 minutes in the pool and see what does he all do when it comes to that off-ball movement, I should say. His swim throughs, drawing exclusions, and of course goals and everything else he does. Which player would you emphasize now for our viewers to watch for 3 minutes, because he does something that maybe they wouldn't catch at first if they're not looking as close in detail as they should?
Well, from the Serbian teams, it's obviously Jakšić and Mandic. From the Hungarian team, I would prefer to mention Manherz or maybe Adam Nagy, because he's doing a lot of invisible work by taking the center maybe on 2 meters, making an exclusion, but at the end he's still able to score a really nice goal with his flexible shoulder movement, and those are the key players, I think, to watch.
So you said 2 out of your top 7 you did for European Aquatics social media. Well, the third one from the Hungarian side that is missing is between the posts, right? Shoma Vogel. You named him as well in your top 7 of the tournament.
Yes.
So now that we're on that topic, I want to say that as well. So it was Manherz and Nagy on that side. Here you have Shoma Vogel also as the one we should maybe put into spotlight for a good reason.
Of course, also on the other side, Glušac was, he produced, I think, 23 saves or even more.
First in the semifinals, 14 out of 27 shots.
27 shots, okay. 23 is a very high number, but still, he was exceptional. So it's kind of a deciding factor which goalie can perform more shots, more saves. But also, I think Glušac was in an, I wouldn't say easy situation, but his defense in front of him was so well prepared, and the blocks were on their places, so he had to cover his own side. So it was kind of easier to save those shots, but it all comes down to a good defense, so the goalkeeper can perform well.
when it comes to the pressure overall, we talked about 2 days ago, it is the Belgrade Arena. The home crowd is going to be cheering on Serbia, of course, on the path for their third final and the gold medal here in the European Championships held in Serbia. But talking about pressure, how do you as a player, when you had so many big matches, how did you mentally prepare yourself? We talked about the preparation before the bronze medal, now before the final. When you're aware only one mistake could be costly in the end and cost you the gold as well.
Pressure, it's all generated in your mind. You can use it to your advantage if you have a home crowd, and it can pressurize you. It's all about how you prepare yourself. I've been through both stages. Interestingly enough, 2020 it was an advantage, but 2 years later it was pressure. So even though I was an older, more experienced player, it was kind of a different story. So the reasons are all in your head and how you feel yourself in the team and how you function as a team. I don't think that this crowd pressurizes Serbia at all, but I have a feeling that it gives something, an additional kick to the Hungarians.
So you think it's more of an advantage from the point of view that they have the extra strength, not the extra pressure, like, oh, we have to do it in front of our team? Oh,
yes, I think it's like a net zero, because it gives a lot for the Serbians, but in a strange way it gives for us, for the Hungarians, some extra motivation to just show it here in their home.
Yeah, see that extra push in the final versus the home sides, well, basically the sides that were hosting the competition. It's oddly enough, we talked about that previously as well. It was split back in 2022 versus Croatia, only 1 goal of a difference. Then it was back in 2006, right? Also 1 goal of a difference. Now, you said that you feel like Belgrade here would be that third time's the charm for Hungary. So the home sides are not sort of a boogeyman for you guys, right?
That's my feeling. You know, when I read the post-match interviews with these guys and what they say, and if they believe and that's their internal feeling, then I think it's no problem to handle this crowd, even though it's exceptional.
We were supposed to have some of the bits and bobs of the pre-match interviews, but since, of course, the head coaches have way more work to be done prior to the jump in the pool and before the game starts, we have more time to analyze both of them and both of their paths. Now, we talked about Serbia, the way they opened the tournament. They were kind of slowly building up the momentum, reaching the final yet again. Which game would you say is the one where they grew the most throughout the competition? Was that semi-final the one?
For Hungary,
Or Serbia?
yes, but for Hungary it's more obvious for me that it was against Spain, because they beat Spain at the most important phase, and then this gave them an additional kick for the semi-final to perform as they performed, and I think they are still under the effect of that. And for the Serbians, you know, when they lost against the Netherlands, they played against us next time, right? Am I right with the order?
No, the Netherlands was the penalty shootout, right? And the first match they won.
My impression was that when they beat us, they had this drive that
Extra
you
push.
usually see when Serbian teams arrive to the quarterfinal, semi-final, final phase. They locked in and they played their best.
Yeah, talking about that group stage 2 match that Serbia won with 15-13. Do you think, I know what your answer is going to be, but from the point of view of the analysis here, is it really like that when you play 2 times against the same opponent in a short amount of days, like it is here 7 days later? Is it really that tough to beat the same opponent yet again at the same stage? Well, here it is the grand final, but still.
It is definitely. There are some psychological reasons behind it, but also statistically it shows that it very rarely happens. So this is another reason, but I wouldn't put too much emphasis on this. This is just an additional interesting statistical fact.
Talking about the overall duels that we're supposed to watch in the pool. Is there any specific duel you would like to highlight? Say maybe some center player versus the center back or something like that, two players on the opposite sides when it comes to this match?
Well, anyone who's guarding Mandic has a special job to do, because you have to decide how you guard him. Do you let him to receive the ball so he can go for a 6-meter foul, or you cover him so he can enter? No matter who's on him, it's gonna be always interesting. So if I said on the previous game to watch Jakšić for 3 minutes, now you can watch Mandic for this same reason. But I have a strong feeling that the Hungarians will try to put him on 2 meters as a defender, so he receives some kickouts at the beginning, so they cannot use him as much.
Okay. Talking about how to stop the players, that's the question that I'm looking forward to hear your response. How do you stop Mandic then? Except for this, when you try to get him as that defender that gets free exclusions, so rule that opportunity out. Without it, how do you stop him?
I just said the details, but can you imagine that you make a decision that you let him drive, and let's go back like 5-6 years, and the other player on that side is Filipovic, or the one who would serve him is either Mitrovic or Prlajnovic. So I wouldn't say it's very easy now, because they create space for Mandic nowadays extremely well. Like, they make the number 1 position disappear from that side, so the whole space is empty for him to move. It's gonna be a task for sure.
Now on to the Hungarian team. How do you stop Manhertz?
Yes, Manhertz scores mostly extra man situations, fouls. He doesn't drive that much. I think he's a great driver, by the way, but I don't think he wants to use all his energies for the reason that Hungary needs him for 4 quarters.
I wanted to ask you, how much does that finals experience play into the picture as well? Because we have some people, people who are experiencing a grand final for the God knows which time, and then maybe somebody who, I think it's Martinovic on the Serbian side, who has a chance to win the gold medal for the first time with the Serbian national team. How much of a percentage that takes into account coming from this kind of matches?
If there is only one player, like you said, Martinovic, then the atmosphere inside the team can make you overcome this. So I don't think it's a proper thing to pay attention to. Maybe on the Hungarian side there are more inexperienced players in that regard, but my feeling about Hungary having this internal calmness and confidence will make this thing irrelevant.
Okay, now that we are onto the topics of certain players, experiences and whatnot, go back to the morning of the big competition final. What goes through your head? I mean, I want to know an experience throughout the whole day up until this point. How does it go when somebody plays a big final?
Let me tell you my experience from Beijing, the Olympics 2008, when we were facing the Americans. And you know, the Americans beat Serbia in the semifinals, so we had this thought that the Americans on paper might be weaker than the Serbians, but they are the ones in the final, so they are an extremely good team. So it's a very double-edged sword, but we were in the warming up pool already, and I was walking back and forth. I wouldn't say I was a nervous type player, but certainly Peter Biros, my teammate, thought I am nervous at the moment. So he was sitting on a chair like all these cameramen behind the cameras, and he just told me that this is also just a game. And in that moment it clicked that even though it has high stakes and we can become Olympic champions today, it clicked that, you know, if we just play it as a game, like an ordinary normal game, then it's very beneficial for us, and and we have to be better than the US.
Would that be kind of a, well, rule out that of course you have so many experiences and connections with the Hungarian side. So if it was any other two teams in the final, would that be your kind of motivational message to whoever plays the grand final? It's just another game and treat it that way, or would it be something else?
I wouldn't say that if I were a coach, but at that moment, from another player who was regarded highly by me because he was one of my heroes, certainly when I was growing up, it was the right sentence to say. But a coach's goal is different. They have to fire up the players and motivate them, and to feel that it's a moment that will never come back. You have to grab it now. It's important, but still, on the other hand, you shouldn't handle it with as it's pressurizing you. You know.
Which final was the toughest for you personally, from any point of view, mentally, physically? Which one?
Maybe because I was still very young. 2006, I was 19, against those Serbians who were in their peak. I physically, certainly that was the toughest one. And we were leading for I think 2 quarters, but then they managed to dominate us with a little bit of help from the crowd, because back in the day it was an open pool, and back in the day they were able to throw things at us or even release some spit on our necks when we were on the bench. So this is not a factor today, as I see, but still, that was wild. Yeah.
Well, you said that the coaches are the ones that fire the team. Who do you think is gonna fire up his team better?
I think Serbians are traditionally better in that. When I was a captain, I've always found it to be very difficult. And I'm not sure if there is a player in this team today, in the Hungarian side, who can do it, but if there is someone, that I think it's Manherz.
Most definitely, I would agree 100% with you. Were you superstitious as a player?
Not much. I did some things always. We can call it being superstitious then, yes, but I don't think I was very superstitious at all.
Are you allowed to say them on camera? Is it anything like, I don't know, I have to get up on my left foot and then on the right, such a stuff, or is it something else?
No,
I think everybody is now interested, now that you mentioned it.
If I want to suggest something, or
You might?
no, no, just stick with your instincts. That's it.
On to the recipe for the final. Let's start with the Hungarian side. Not to put out any names or any individuals that we previously mentioned, but if you were again in the head of Zsolt Varga, how would you, I guess, form your team in a way to have that recipe for success and to take the gold here?
He's a natural in motivating his players. So as I said, I'm not good in that yet. I might be later as a coach. I don't know if I will ever be able to fire up people. At a certain point, I was able to do it as a player, but not forcefully. I was always trying to show what I'm believing in, and if it was effective and I was efficient and kind of successful, then others followed me. That was my method, but a coach has to fire them up, and I think Zsolt is probably the number one who could make that happen. Especially with young players. I'm sorry, but we have a young team, and young players tend to receive this expression better.
Now I'm just digging for the exclusive part of this. You mentioned the coaching. Maybe later on it's something we can expect you in that role as well, not only the analyst, the co-commentator.
I wouldn't say no eternally. Like I quit professional water polo for the reason I mentioned 2 days ago, that I didn't like to go to trainings in the evening because I have 2 kids, and I enjoy to be a father. But if I were to be a coach now, I still should go on trainings in the evening. So, but if my kids are out they are studying, they are all over the place, then and water polo still exists in a way that I like, then maybe.
Okay, so no for a few more years and then maybe.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all you guys heard it. You can write it down so we can come back to this in a few years. Go to Uroš Stevanović's head and give me the recipe to win it 3 times in a row at your own pool in Serbia. You know it's difficult, I know.
It's difficult because I always admire the Serbian mentality in certain ways. So they have their own recipe, and I would love to see or hear what is going on in their locker room before the game of finals.
Oh, me too.
Because they were extremely successful. You too,
Believe me
for
too.
the same reason.
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay.
You know what's the most interesting part to me, because that's why I love the players' perspective and their experiences. Because, you know, when everybody wins the goal, it's always documentaries and post-match interviews, quotes. But those moments prior to going out here and facing this crowd, facing the team in the pool, that's the most valuable part, right? Those are things that...
Yes, but it's all up on the players, because at this phase the coach can say anything. If it doesn't go in and you don't receive it well, then it's worthless. So I think they are, as a community, as a team, they can kind of handle it already.
Bold predictions for the very end of our pre-match studio. The results, difference-wise, goal difference-wise, or maybe cool and everything else.
Yes.
So today is finally the day. Okay, we'll see. Will that bold prediction come true?
Is it bold though?
Well, yeah, that's a good take on it actually. Is it bold or is it not? Well, I think maybe somebody will tell us. MVP of the finals.
It would be easy to say one of the stars, but what if they get 2 exclusions very quickly? They won't be able to participate that much. So I wouldn't say anyone. No, I can't tell that.
So we'll leave it blank then.
Yeah.
Okay, Denis, thank you so much. We'll be here together after the final whistle and probably after the whole entire jumping in the pool, whichever team it might be. Denis has his co-commentator duties, so of course he's going to go slowly back to his position, and we'll be here back in our position after the final match is done. So good luck to Serbia, but also good luck to Hungary as well, and we'll be back, well, not pretty soon, but you know, in an hour-ish or so.